Hi, my name is Ana Clara, and I'm a student at the University of Rio de Janeiro Law School. And I'm going to talk about the Preah case concerning the territorial sovereignty over the temple Preah. Between the government of Cambodia as applicant and the government of Thailand as respondent. Although Thailand had raised some objections regarding the court's jurisdiction, in this case, in 1961, that was already decided that it had jurisdiction. So the case was judged by the International Court of Justice in 1962. Now we're going to talk about the facts and then we move on to the decision. In the 9th century, the Khmer Empire was the largest civilization in Southeast Asia, which built great temples initially related to the Hindu gods, but after they converted to the Buddhism. The Vihear temple comes from this time and is located between two countries, Thailand, that was known by the Siamese government, and Cambodia, that was under French colonization. At the end of the 19th century, it was in the interest of both countries to define their boundaries, primarily by the watershed line. So they went to a mixed commission of delimitation in 1904 to mark their border, which determined that the area of the temple Preah would be placed in the Thai side. Although the final stage of this delimitation was the preparation of the maps. The Siamese government didn't dispose of adequate technical means, so had requested that French officers should map the frontier region, which were completed and communicated to the Siamese government in 1908. However, they accidentally made a mistake by placing the Preah temple and the land around it on the Cambodian side and not on the Thai side as was delimited by the Mixed Commission. Decades later, in the 50s, the newly independent Cambodian country sent people to the temple area and discovered that were Thai troops there. So, they claimed Cambodia's sovereignty over the territory according to Annex 1 map. That was the moment that arose the problems, because Thailand alleged that a mistake had been made during the preparation of this map. Due to that, in October 6, 1959, they agreed to take the matter to the International Court of Justice to solve the issue. Now we're going to talk about the parties' arguments and see what they said during the court's judgment. Well, Cambodia's argument was based on the fact that the temple of Preah was in Cambodian territory and under the sovereignty of the Kingdom of Cambodia, settled in the Annex 1 map, and so declared that the Kingdom of Thailand was under the obligation to remove their military forces in the area and return any objects of monuments from the temple that may have been removed. On the other hand, Thailand's principal argument was that, according to the Mixed Commission of Delimitation, Preah temple should have been placed on the Thai side, and so pointed that happened a mistake in the map regarding the delimitation of their borders. By placing the temple on the Cambodian side, declaring that Thailand didn't recognize the document to be part of the Treaty of 1904. Now, we are going to see the court's decision. So which side they decided for. The court agreed with Thailand that the maps which placed the temple in Cambodia had never been formally agreed to in a treaty. However, they found that what had happened was that Thailand had actually treated the temple as it lays under the sovereignty of Cambodia, and so impliedly recognized Cambodia's sovereignty all this time by accepting the Annex 1 map as representing the result of the work of delimitation, and also that both parties, Cambodia and Thailand, recognized the line thereby. In effect, agreed to regard it as being the frontier line. One of the main concerns of the court was if Thailand was truly under a misapprehension about the Annex 1 map line. Because if she believed that that was the correct watershed line, somehow was based on some acceptance of it. And so, if she had such belief, it's implicit that she had accepted the Annex 1, not only because she thought was correct. Otherwise, her acts would have to be regarded as deliberate violations of sovereignty that she must have presumed that Cambodia possessed. Which means that Thailand can allege any misapprehension due to her acts. At this point, that shows the recognition of the tacit consent in contradiction to the allegations in a litigation that may generate the situation of estoppel, that is, the principle of non-contradiction. Precisely a situation that Thailand clearly could fit into by claiming a misapprehension and their sovereignty over the territory comes in contradiction to her acts over the decades. The final aspect is that the acceptance of the Annex 1 map by the parties caused the map to enter the treaty settlement and become a part of it, because it was accepted by them in 1908 and thereafter as the result of the interpretation given by the two governments to the delimitation which was required by the treaty. Therefore, has created a sort of equitable doctrine to recognize that the mistake has been questioned or conceded by Thailand. So, in June 15, 1962, it was judged by the court that Thailand was under obligation to withdraw any military force and restore Cambodia any objects which may have been removed from the temple or its area by Thai authorities since their occupation in 1954. The difficulty with that was that at no time did the court determine the exact place of the boundary between the both countries. They just decided regarding the sovereignty of the Preah Vihear temple and never the hectares around it, which means that they continue to be in dispute. So the court had an opportunity to solve the problem, but actually didn't completely do so. Thanks for watching.